bit next time. I'm just honoring Mary Ellen's comment there. It says we're working out lots of things and already planning, looking forward to the next go around.
That's great.
That's the answer she does, right? She
They're
does.
really happy with us too. They really
Yeah, I
are.
feel like that's every semester.
It is.
Yeah,
Good
Especially when
watching
you
it.
try something new and you're like, let me try
Yeah, I
that.
got a draft here next week, so that'll be a determined thing. So far, so good. So far, so good.
In terms
Also
of,
pretty
I feel like it's so confusing. So I kind of thought it was going to be like a really hard 4-hour class. But now it's going to be like hour and 15 minutes, hour and 15 minutes.
I did on the dashboard, Bill Rate dashboard, and just downloaded
You're not required to have a break right
made a new
That's
before
column,
a pass
added
time.
in my.
That's
They don't need to pass time.
Right.
So what did you
So
run
we
at?
can have a break for 10
Did
minutes.
you run that during that?
Yeah, and this number here,
That's awesome. I want to go.
we will actually, since this is 129,
Saw a comment
we'll actually bump that up
from
to
Mary. How's
27.
yours going?
Well, let's say if we
Not for
start
now.
to do that, when they say have theirs as a starting point, and that we
The alternate,
switch
yeah.
it over. Okay. I was thinking
That
about
way
it.
you've got those 12 seats,
Right, and then across the board.
and you don't have Sunday. So it's not bad. But yeah, if I rate, well, I'm not gonna set the bell on it after because I wanna separate out my in-persons from my onlines and monitor them separately. So I will, yeah, hybrid's fine. And I will, monitor it, but I will also set a date. And then I will have a final date, like by, it has to be either like 3 weeks before or 4 weeks before. We just have to go in and open them all, whether they've been needed or not, right? But we should monitor it pretty regularly before that, because as soon as they're all full, well, let's see, 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out. And it didn't really move around instead of, right? And that's what I would do, that's the other benefit of this.
Does anyone want to share out some of what they shared more closely in pairs? Or who wants to share out?
I think the theme that we were talking about is that students are happy to be back in person, seeing an increase of that. You know, you yourself said, how many people did you have at your D&D club?
The max so far has been 54. Last night was 44. Those are the tables. I should.
okay.
I'll erase that. You're all good. I just like to move around.
And then somebody said that the student club fair brought in hundreds of people.
Yeah. I think they said something like 200 a day. Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. It's exciting to see people back on campus.
Well, I wonder what this Gilbert Farmers Market will do too. For just
Yeah.
That's exciting.
campus, and what the residual will be
Yeah.
if people want to.
And if anyone needs bagel, coffee, hot chocolate, or tea, all that stuff's over there for you. Wow.
Oh, and I forgot to nail home my point. Our LC, we've got a lot of just very participatory students, and it's cool. Because
Nice.
it feels like they're really enjoying being.
Yeah, I've had a couple students say, "Man, I wish I could do full in person," which is something I don't think I've heard for a few years. So I think people are hungry for presence and community. So.
I just wonder if part of that, I don't think I realized that as I get older, the years kind of speed up, and like, well, these kids were like 13 in 2020 when this happened. So
Yeah.
They may not even be used to that in high school. They're more used to the in-person stuff. So maybe that's something.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like that 4 years has gone by, and
Yeah.
we've got the whole new cycle.
Yeah, we got all the bad kids. They're out. Yeah, it's really, I'm kidding. That's funny. But it is kind of something to think about, because to us, 5 years, to me, 5 years is nothing. To them, it's like, oh,
It's 25% of their life. Yeah.
okay, thanks, man. Thanks, appreciate it.
For them.
Ray ran a spreadsheet.
No. Technically, it's 32 point. I'm also the guy who, when my wife turned 25 in our first year of marriage, I kept telling people she was a quarter century old. So I'm not saying that was a winning husband moment. But she looked 15 at the time, which is weird in the saying out loud. Anyways, Chris, yeah.
Sorry that I'm no, sorry.
The problem with verbal processing.
You guys are talking about the
You need to quit
students.
while you're already behind.
You guys are talking about the students being back, and the staff are really enjoying it a lot too. I was talking to people over in Student Health about it. I feel like the learning community program is back. I'm not saying that it ever left, but if you think of the training we've done and the new sets of partners and the excited people talking about teaching and learning, it's really awesome.
Yeah.
It's good.
I mean, really, we had the lowest number we had, and I think in my entire time here last fall and spring, so there was quite a rebound.
Yeah.
Not back to full, but I think it's a healthy recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, and so as we're thinking about if we're kind of sort of celebrating what we've got, these are some of the things from last year, just to kind of highlight them. Last year we had 10 faculty attended the National Conference on Learning Communities. We had 6 present, including a pre-conference workshop. We enhanced our marketing, had a lot of connections with the different parts of campus, A&R advising scheduling. We had a lot of fun, many of us, 11 of us, going up to Washington Center and for the Washington Consortium. We had a 4-day new LC training, so thanks for those of you who are here who participated in that, with 14 different faculty across those 4 days. And yeah, fun times, pictures. These were just the ones that were dropped. Some of these were dropped into the event folder. So I'm not insinuating that anyone is an animal or that you shouldn't feed them. It's just one of the pictures, and it was fun. But when I was looking back through, I'm like, these are really cool. So I did want to take some time, thank you to everyone who has been any part of any of that this last year, because you guys took time, whether it was for a conference, a consortium, the faculty workshops. I love that you're taking time to invest in developing these materials for you to better the students. And I think one of the best parts for me is just getting to, for better or worse, I end up being like third wheel on a variety of conversations, so it's been really, for me, it's fun to be in that role because I get to hear all the amazing things you do and see you guys interacting and developing things that I just couldn't. So that's been fun. Some other things to be thankful for. Ann Lopez has put together travel auth support, and she does this every year, but I want to make sure we highlight that. So there's a link to that we'll get to later. Last year we had SLSC provide for all of those workshops, and so people were able to get paid for doing the training. And then we also had food provided, meals provided for those workshops through academic affairs. Yeah. So aside from that, is there any, David, do you want to do these fall celebrations, or is there anything else people are just yay about when it comes to learning?
I just was going to think if you wanted to go back to the photos real quickly. And for those of you that didn't go, the top 2 photos are from the Integrated Learning Planning Retreat up in Washington State in North Bend, and we're by Snoqualmie Falls. And I just saw the September newsletter for the NLCA, and they are doing that integrative curriculum planning retreat again. So if you're interested in it, or you kind of feel like you need a little April getaway, and it might be a nice, now that we know kind of what they do, I think it'd be really well suited for those of you that are teaching with a partner to kind of go back there and maybe after being done with the year, kind of rethinking what went and kind of your forward-looking planning. It's certainly a restful place, and as people can tell you that were there, you are not committed to go to a lot of their programs, so you really could do stuff with your partners simply alone in quite a lovely setting. In April. I think it's April 23rd and 24th. Pam was there, Greg was there, Kate Michelle, Tom, Roberto, Chris, and so I don't know if I'll have money to go again this year, but I might, but it's there, and so something to consider, maybe like I said, as you're wrapping up your first year and thinking about your long-term planning.
It could just be a good place to go to, work on your cardio with cool friends from college without the danger of valley fever. Even if you're at the back of the pack.
But you gotta tie in somehow to get paid, to get it to be paid for. And so yes, plan on doing something, right, for your LC related. But it is a gorgeous place, really gorgeous place.
that was my plug for that.
Cool.
It's worth it. It's worth it because it's different from any other conference. You know, most conferences you go, you're going to workshops, you're doing this, you're doing that. And this was very much come, do what you need to do for your learning community and relax in this area and, you know, revitalize. And so very nice.
Yeah. As far as we had a lot of new partnerships this year, and so of the 13 LCs we had planned, 12 of them made, 10 of them fully filled by day one, and the other 2 were either at 20 or above 20. So pretty solid. That's a pretty solid turnaround considering how many new or untested LCs we had, which we were pretty excited about. But we had done, you all had done some of the background data checking, and we made sure those pairings were hopeful. Hey, Austin. How's it going? What else do we have there? We have 18 LC faculty teaching this fall. I think that's pretty amazing. That's David. What's the most we've ever had? I feel like we're getting close. With 18 in a semester?
We had a pretty steady kind of number, about 24 learning communities. A couple were self-taught, you know, in terms of Patrick Williams being able to do both courses and me. But if we had 24, maybe that's granted, some faculty were teaching, like Renee and Tricia, they may be teaching, you know, one and then another one at the same time. But
that was number of LCs, yeah.
20, you know, I would think, you know.
Yeah, so I think especially considering some of the areas we're branching into, we've got a few more psych partners. We've got geology in there now in the mix. Comm. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. Okay, cool. Anything? Yeah, was there anything anyone wanted to celebrate about the fall and their LC kicking off, or thoughts toward as you're thinking towards spring and getting excited?
I don't know about celebration, but just I wanted to thank David and the other LC people for just helping us get students in. Like there were some issues with students getting in, and then of course there was a student who was going to MCC that tried to have to withdraw from class there. And, I mean, I just really pushed to get. I mean, you walked over an interested student directly to our offices and introduced themselves, which is really nice to have that support. So
Well, certainly Shannon McCune in our office did a lot of work, and so did Megan over in SBS. I think that's probably the most learning communities SBS has ever had. We've only ever had like one psych ever, right? And so now we've got 2 over there in terms of also EDU. So a little more traffic for Megan. She, I thought, handled it pretty good. She got everybody in, from what I could tell. It was really a great, I don't really know the right word for it. She led people to the place, and so it helped. But it certainly was a lot of Saturday emails and students saying, "What about this? What about this?" And I was just forwarding them to those LCs. But it did help. It may have
we appreciate it.
may have caused problems elsewhere. But,
Yeah.
but it helped.
Well, and it
So we stole someone from Mesa. Come on, we got 3 additional hours from Mesa.
Mason making,
Stole.
voodoo dolls.
Aww. And that is something that's on the list to celebrate, is especially as we were looking at the spring scheduling. So thank you to everyone on the admin team and scheduling, because there was a bit of triage fire suppression happening this last week or 2 where you guys were building and putting in comms very quickly, which I guess because the schedule accidentally went live yesterday, I'm told. It's a good thing you guys are so good at what you do, because I think we had everything or almost everything built for spring, because you, Shannon, Megan, Jennifer, I feel like there's one more admin I'm not thinking of right now. Sarah, yeah. So all of you, like that, the admin team has been amazing the last 2 weeks, doing above and beyond to make sure that our spring semester got built. So Ariana said I need to get all of you fire hats, so because of first responders and whatnot. Yeah. Okay. David, do you want to talk through the basic practices of consistency, or did you have something else?
Yeah, I got something.
Okay.
And what I thought we would do, since Austin's here from advising, I know he probably doesn't have the whole time to be here with us.
I have the whole time.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let you, but we're interested in what you have to share, having just got through fall enrollment and what you guys saw over there, tendencies, suggestions, et cetera, moving forward. I also know, and maybe it's worth checking with Jessamy, I don't know that she has the whole time, so if you've got or Dean Schnick, or those associate vice.
Here until 1
Ryan.
or 11:30.
Okay, but I wanna make sure we get to them,
Yeah.
Just in case they need to be somewhere else.
I'm taking
Oh,
off.
well, let's get to the two of you, just to make sure that, you know.
Do you want to go first?
We were talking about fire suppression, I don't know if you want to step into that,
Yeah,
or out of that, step out of that.
So as the scheduling team is always happy to react to learning communities. We are able to prioritize getting them on the schedule quickly. But I do think this is a great area of opportunity to improve workflow from when learning communities are approved, and then how do we get that information to the admins, or if it's past the schedule build time, how to get it to my team. And I think I mentioned before, our app dev has a potential solution utilizing the comm system.
Mhm.
And I had a first look at how they're using that for another process, and I think it might work for learning communities. We won't be able to talk about it until end of October probably, but happy to have more discussion about what we can do to ease that gap.
So one of the things that's changed is we used to have one particular form, that was one that Marty designed, 15 years ago plus.
Okay.
And that I think sent information directly to that office that then me and whoever was the coordinator at the time, maybe Melinda Bam, had access to. But it almost went there but there was a form that was actually she created, kind of with the things that she felt like she needed,
Yeah.
right, to put things
Yeah.
in. And now I know we went to a Google form that we have access to, but I wonder if there's a benefit, or if that's maybe what you're addressing here with this form, is something that, you guys, when people submitted things, you also were notified at the same time as us, and then we could kind of start matching, like, oh, well, here's some automatic, here's 3 Tuesdays at 10, right? And so that we could say,
Yeah.
oh, let's see who has some even room in their schedule to say, oh, I'll move it up a slot, or I'll move it back a slot, or I can do it on a Monday or a Wednesday. But some kind of way to gather the information, and then have it somewhere where you already know what it is, and so do we, and we can kind of cross-check, because that was kind of the thing that didn't happen this year. And that's more like, literally, that's really more my fault, I think, really, than it is Greg's fault, that he did a lot of the running back and forth, and it's because Chris Ryder used to do all that, right? Chris Ryder, as a former chair, was the person that every time we got that information, sent the emails that got every chair and every lead and every LC partner together in a meeting, where I was like, oh my God, another meeting, oh my God, another meeting. And Chris would have so many people at a meeting, but that's where it happened, and he did it. And when I left as chair, he did it for Greg, and when he left last year, we didn't have any new LC, so we didn't have to do it. And then we got a whole batch of new ones, and we were just like, oh shit, there's this whole thing that we've not done. And that was, that was me. It was at least me as much as it was Greg, if not more, right? So I should have known that, because Chris did that for me, right?
And it was, so we were, if you can't tell from what David's saying, we've been highly reflective about some of the, I don't know how much it's been a scramble for some of the faculty to try and like get their schedules anchored and whatnot. But it has been a good, highly reflective moment to go like, okay, there's a communication gap that happens with the form the way it is now. There was a training gap because I think we've so internalized some of these processes that this is one of those we were focused on helping you guys build the actual content. We just kind of did general reminders, and so a lot of this, and didn't do a final check. Like we were focused on getting some of the other stuff. And so I think it's been really good to think through the process, and I want to make sure the system's smooth for everyone. That way new faculty aren't feeling in a pinch trying to figure out, the scheduling, we didn't get that on the books. And so trying to make that process clear is what we'll try and do in the future. So if you got emails from me, I think I did individually apologize to a few people. But we were kind of in fire suppression mode, so if it seemed like, if those emails came across pushy or otherwise, it was more just me stressed, being like, oh no, what did I fail at? So hopefully it's all good. Yeah.
So LCs are built in Find a Class, which I think is actually down today.
Yes. When? It was a test run.
When it comes back up, take a look, and if anything looks incorrect, just
students that find a class, look, and for some of us, it may already be in SIS, so you might be able to see it, right?
It is
before
an
it's-
no, it
Yeah.
is an SIS.
Right, so you can see it in SIS now before it goes live in Find a Class, and maybe
Yeah.
let's catch a couple of those things. I'll send an email maybe after this as a reminder of people that you can check SIS for things, so maybe we're in front of it a little.
Do you see notes in SIS?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
One of the things we might, I don't know if this is how we've operated in the past or not, or if we did this consistently or not, but just emphasizing constantly the partnerships. Be the ones who check it. I can look at it from 10,000 feet above, but if you're really drilled down and looking at the class and the formation, you know what I mean? At the appropriate times, and let me know when it looks good, and get that and check them off on the list. I don't know if I did anything more natural than that. I really don't. I don't think so. Does that help?
Yeah. And I think we had started building, in the first year I had taken over, we had started trying to have talks about a dynamic form that everyone would be able to see, even as we were trying the new Google form too. And so bridging that, seeing if that's the winner, and since that's a system everybody's really getting more familiar with, is probably going to be a step in the right direction too. But, yeah. Austin, have you had a chance to settle into the room? Do you need some coffee? Do you want a bagel?
I don't drink coffee.
Do you want some tea or hot chocolate?
I might in a second. Yes. Sorry I was late. Like I told David and Greg, I would have a meeting till 11, but it got done earlier. And so on the advising side, I think this is, since I've stepped into being the liaison between LCs and advising in like 23, I think this is the smoothest we've ever seen it happen for enrollment. At least on our end. There was some hiccups, of course, within going into classes. I think the LCID idea of moving the Math 055 is a good idea to a certain extent. Just with the Math 055 and the 141 thing, we did have to work that one out. Just like that can be the prereq, right? But outside of that, every LC I've recommended worked in most student schedules. Of course, now that they changed the AJEC for the fall of 25, and we're going through that whole reimagine process right now, and I'm also on the General Education Council for that as well. And so it's kind of one of those things of, I didn't really hear much about complaints of students saying I can't enroll in this class. Of course, it was most students that don't read the notes, right? But usually when they come through Coyote Kickoff, we always try to tell them to look at the notes, make sure it's not a learning community, and if it is, ensure that that other course that is tied to that class is going to work in your degree. But really it was the learning communities, and I know we've had discussions about it, trying to streamline what you're putting together too, has definitely been helpful.
Yeah.
But I would say it was probably one of the smoothest summer and fall that I've seen, where I haven't received a lot of learning community emails of students saying, I can't enroll into this class.
Nice.
Did you read the note? That was the only thing.
Nice.
Did you read the notes? Like, click
Did you
the
check the
button?
syllabus? I mean, yeah.
So, but I don't know on your ends, did you all see anything with students somehow getting into a class that was like in a learning community?
I
that they
don't
were only
think-
enrolled into one section of it?
I don't remember hearing
Okay.
anything about co-enrollment
I know
problems.
it's more A&R side, but
Maybe one or
I
two.
think Tricia and Renee had one with the CRE 101. There was a kid that they'd emailed several times that never left until the end, but I don't recall it.
Yeah.
That's
Can-
one.
Yeah,
Like
and
one or two early, but there's another member of the A&R team that monitors that, and they were already
Yeah.
aware. By the time I emailed them, they were like, "We're on it. We already contacted the student." So.
And just so you guys, another thing that happened kind of as the spring was ending and going into the summer was David, me, and Dean Schnick and Dean Fee and Ryan Kane. We got, along with a couple others, got together to try and make sure that the SIS system was working like it was supposed to. And so they were they were doing a lot, some really close monitoring to make sure. I think Dean Fee and Bettina pushed out a report to be able to make sure the co-enrollments. Yeah. So,
She and I did some
that's right.
testing,
Yeah.
and We connected with someone at district, so.
Thank you for hanging out.
And and it is working. It is working. So.
Yeah. So,
I was gonna say, it's working, like students are doing, like the system's not letting them enroll, if they're not picking both of them, seems like, and it seems like the system doesn't let them drop either without dropping both of them. So like the system seems to be a lot better than it was, 5, 7 years ago. But also, the one hiccup can be is if the instructor drops the student, that does drop the student from just one section, but not automatically from the other section. So maybe this is just like for the new, I'm just kind of saying it out loud, for the new people coming in next spring, kind of keep in mind that if you drop somebody, your partner also needs to drop them from their roster, or else, then we have the problem where they're in one class and not the other. So that's just something to keep in mind, because
That's what you've experienced.
yes.
Okay, all right.
Can I make a point on that? 055, 056, just making sure that if you're teaching that learning community, if you drop them from 055, drop them from 056 and 057 as well.
That's something.
Is that the
to
Matt
keep in
one? Yeah.
mind. That, Austin, that's like
I know,
that's
it's
simple
a-
math.
it's a-
We're working on that. This was our first time doing it.
I know it was,
So,
yeah.
and I
we're all
think
good.
it's been
Yeah.
a lot better. I can talk to you on the side, but it has helped tremendously.
And it has
It's
for
been
us, because it just makes it much easier for me to try to explain and my colleagues and advising of why I'm telling you to take the same
Yeah.
teacher in class
Mhm.
throughout the whole semester, because it just builds and they know
Right.
what they've been teaching, right?
Yes.
But, yeah, on that question on the agenda, when sending emails to co-enrolled students, we should guide them to enrollment services rather than advising in peak, yeah. Please have them go through admissions and records, just because everybody's crazy at peak time, but, they will have much more availability than us in advising to be able to drop a student if that's needed.
And just for the sake of helping us understand, approximately how many people are in advising, kind of working with students that are trying to, like you guys are working to get them into classes and learning community, what would you say?
Let me think, how many people, I think maybe 15 of us, if
Okay.
that. So,
And I know it's not your department. What about the other side of the house, or other part of it?
admissions and records.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. But they're not to say that they're not busy, but they're not meeting with students back
Yeah.
to back similar to like we are, right? So they're
Yeah.
gonna be busy too, but they may have like students come in and walk in and like they have to go out and help them, but
Yeah.
we have like our scheduled appointments most days. And
Yeah.
usually, depending on the day, I could have anywhere between, well, today's a little different because I'm just mostly in meetings all day,
Yeah.
but, between like 6 to 8 appointments a day. That's pretty typical.
Thanks. And I just wanted us to have a sense of the scope of like when your team's working on stuff, when you guys are funneling through a lot of students, a lot of hands, and doing a lot of the work to get students in these LCs. So I think especially in some of the seasons where the only way students got into an LC was through an advisor in the last year because of some things with the technology. Advising and enrollment services being the ones putting them directly into the classes is one of the reasons, one of the main reasons the LCs are making as well as they are. So just to give kudos where we can. Any other things you want us that we should know about for the sake of advising as faculty or as learning community partners?
No, I would say once you have that one sheet page done, send it my way and I'll get it dispersed out to the team.
Nice. Very cool.
No, I thought it was one of the smoothest I've seen, and I've been with Chandler Gilbert since August of 2022, so I came right into peak. And yeah, I thought it was one of the smoothest enrollment seasons I've ever experienced.
Awesome.
Well, you just call the meeting and go home, Kevin.
Any faculty have any questions for enrollment or advising? Things on that you might be confused about SIS or that you want to know more about? Just before we move on.
Austin, I'll come back to you on something I've brought up multiple times. You probably know what I'm going to say.
Yep.
About, I don't know how to say it. But so Greg and I met with Ryan a little bit at the end of the spring and in the summer. We were both trying to kind of get over to the new student orientation, if that's the right word, how to kick off into the one. Just to kind of wanted to see what was happening so we could get a sense of like, okay, and how we might be able to involve LC faculty that were, promoting classes that semester. And of course, it was right before I left for Europe, and I don't think either one of us ever got over there. He might have got over there in August, but so I was wondering about setting up something to try to do that a little more than what we were able to do this summer, so that people that were interested, which might just be us, but the people that might be interested might kind of get to come over and just get a sense. Maybe that's before you even get busy, like almost like a mock. Like, here's what it looks like, or here's what happens, as if we're maybe the students, or maybe we're the students and walk us through, but something so we can get a sense of what happens, not that we're questioning that, but so we can think about like how can we help, especially when it's peak. And I know Ryan was like, well, come see, and then, but because we never did, we never invited any folks in the fall to come during peak. But maybe trying to be a little more thoughtful about knowing what that is and getting the opportunities out before, probably not for spring, but for next fall, right?
Yeah.
So,
Connect with Ryan and Allison on that. I'll connect with you both so we can try to make that collaboration happen more.
So Austin, do you think we should also collaborate with Fee or Holly? Because some of what happens it's quick enrollment right behind the
Yeah.
Welcome Center. And I know in the past they've allowed people to volunteer. Administrators and faculty have volunteered. So student comes in, I just need to add this class, they go right behind the desk, they sit down at the computer, and somebody needs to be there in case they have questions.
Yeah,
How do I
and
find a class? And so, do you think is that still the case that people can volunteer?
I think so. I know Ryan had a call out last fall, or this fall for it, but I don't know if it went out to I don't know who it went out to, but I know that DRS was super helpful in being in that area, so was career services, and it was really to kind of just be another person that helped them enroll into the student center, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah, I can definitely see and connect with them again on that too. But yeah, I know like Holly and her team and A&R, they do a lot of the like pre-check now because we try to change the flow of how Coyote Kickoff works, especially for the in-person. Of course, we still have our virtual appointments, but they changed how students get checked in for Coyote Kickoff when we do it in person. They meet with A&R first, make sure they got all their admission steps done, and then they come and do it.
Nice. And one of the things I was doing over the summer, I would meander into to the Coyote Center every 2 weeks or so, and just make sure if there were any new people they knew what learning community was, and then I would ask them like, is there any LCs that you want to know about, or give them kind of the plug or the spiel for the different pairings. And so I was kind of cycling through there periodically over the summer, because I know one of the things in the past has been new people needing to be onboarded a little bit to that, and so yeah. Trying to help with that front of house piece too. All right.
It's kind of fun. I know everybody's probably busy at the start of the semester, but it's kind of fun talking to students. And after doing it for a little bit, you start to know what the questions are. Like, oh, you need to go to this screen.
So kind of cycling the last of kind of the admissions and records, advising, scheduling, and then marketing. I talked about it last year, but we've been doing a lot more with marketing materials. We do have a bunch of flyers for individual LCs and templates that we can use. We've been doing student interviews for the last year plus. So there are things if you wanted to promote or give students in your LCs a lens in, or even in your standalone classes. And so some of those are on my YouTube channel. More importantly, our marketing department has a new director for marketing and communications, and she's already working on some things connected to the school website for learning communities that are going to be cool. And then, but she's excited, lots of energy, pumped, and from my tech writing side, talking with her about this stuff, she's very knowledgeable on all things on the marketing and technical writing side of this stuff. So I'm excited to have her as one of our marketing partners, and so hopefully we'll see a lot more boosts. We did get some social media posting happening over the summer. We don't know whether that actually guided traffic or not, but we did it for the first time, so that was cool.
What's her name?
Kate.
Katie Reno.
Katie Reno.
Katie Reno?
That's right, she goes by Katie. But yeah,
This is a
thank you. I
time,
should have that in there.
Greg, but also, I mean, thinking about Anna and your work to create that integrative learning web page that talks about all the HIPs. So there's a.
Yeah, we're also working with Katie to update that, and the new integrated learning page should launch early next week.
You have to send out a link when you.
I can do that, yeah.
So integrative learning page will talk about all the high impact practices we have and other practices that where integration of learning happens. It's not a high impact practice. So it'll have things on there that service learning communities, writing certified classes will be on there.
So like
there's-
you, Mary, are doing like a portfolio?
There'll be opportunity to talk about e-portfolios. Anna's
Yeah,
gonna go
there's a-
around and talk to faculty who are using e-portfolios.
There's a tile for e-portfolios. We currently don't have its own webpage. We'd like to develop one, but just to get our integrated learning page is quite outdated, so we wanted to get that updated as soon as possible. But if you have the capacity and would like to work collaboratively on an e-portfolio page, the dedicated page, be happy to, I'll reach out to you.
Okay.
And the idea for marketing is that students know that there are lots and lots of opportunities to have this integrated learning, right? Some sort of hands-on interdisciplinary learning that can be applied to real-world problems. They'll know that. We're gonna include the embedded tutors on there.
Hmm.
We're gonna
Cool.
include the FYU courses to talk about the fact that, that's a high-impact practice, that experiences in those classes.
When do students see this? Like, what would drive a student to this webpage? Because we kind of have that same problem
Yeah.
with the new math webpage we
Yeah.
built, right? Like, we don't even know if students even ever see it, because it's
Yeah.
there, but who's looking for it?
Well, the good thing is Katie is working with Anna throughout this whole process. So she tends to do some marketing related to all the topics it hits. So this is a way for us to all work together on these different areas and work closer with marketing.
But it's great, I mean, I love it, but I just
Yeah.
want students to go to it, right? Otherwise it's not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. There's an action item for marketing. If you as faculty are teaching an LC, you can request for, or doing a special LC event. We do want to keep gathering marketing materials. One of the cool things about LCs is we did start that getting fresh materials last year and the year before. So now they have a lot more to work with because they came into LCs like Chris and John's, right? Came into Pam and Casey and I's and got some good students in action kind of doing the learning. So it gives us some raw materials to work with, to put on flyers, to show clips and websites and that kind of thing. So if you're doing anything, if you're having moments of co-teaching in a linked community, or you've got them up and doing some special activity, or if you've got it tied with service learning, anything you're doing that's kind of a special thing, or just a cool thing, you can just let me know and I can send the request through, or we can make a marketing request to get a photographer into your classroom and get students kind of document the work you're doing so that we can continue to let other students see how cool it is. So yeah, that's one action item if you so desire. It's there.
No, it's good. My question about what's her name is right there.
I added it after you said it.
Oh, okay.
I should have had it there. Thank you, Pam. I should have had it there in the first place. Before I forget, David, do you want to do national stuff?
Sure.
Sorry, right as you bagel.
National Learning Communities Conference, November 3rd through the 5th, Iowa. I think the deadline for, not early registration, but for regular registration is September 30th, so just under 2 weeks. I just registered this week. Greg's going, Chris is going, you guys going?
I think so.
Robert Sosa's going, I know.
You have to be in before the 30th, right?
Yeah, then I think the registration goes up $100.
Yeah.
No, well, guys, they might not cover it, do they?
I don't. If it's called late registration, I think we don't cover it.
Yeah.
If it's called early versus standard, then it might depend on what they have it labeled. Either way, the 30th is a great time to aim for deadline-wise if you're thinking of the Learning Communities Conference. And one of the cool things we do have in there, I'm trying to find it. Where did we put it? Ann Lopez had put together materials for us.
You have her name down there.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I had it linked.
You've got a link. It's right there.
I'm scrolling past it. Oh, it's there. That's why. So if you click the 2025 folder, Ann Lopez has put together materials that would be helpful for filling out the travel auth and the how-to. Let me just go there. Oh, because it's in the wrong account. Come on. No, that's not it either. All right, we'll come back to that. Just kidding. Click, 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 click.
Chris, you got a hand?
Well, there's a conference going on right now, and 3 people, 2 of them who have left, are presenting on learning communities at this conference.
So Michelle, Kate, and I are presenting about LCs and composition today. So pretty much how composition is linked with all different subject areas. FYE, science, and psychology, and we're just doing a breakout. I'm doing an individual breakout session, but we're doing a group presentation with all three of us pretty much today. So it's the Arizona Education Teaching Association, I feel like I'm up there. So we're doing that today around 2, I think, yeah.
Is that virtual or is it?
It's here at Chandler Gilbert, so we're having.
I think tomorrow they're using this room. So yeah, that's super cool.
That's for celebrating.
So yeah, hooray! I'm glad. That's exciting. I thought you were telling me to be like, that's why they're leaving. I'm like, oh yeah, I know.
Michelle's running the program. We're presenting. So.
I didn't know you guys were doing learning communities. That's super cool. Nice. So send Kate and Michelle and Maria kudos in email form later for that amazing work. If you need anything for the travel auth, you can go in here. There's the how-to, some of the basic things, sample travel fees, baggage fees, conference hotel, that kind of stuff is all here. And that can make the putting in the travel auth a lot smoother. So those materials are there for you to get you to the National Learning Communities Conference. So try and get that in before, no later than the 30th, because planning as it is. David, can you give the spiel for the NLCA? Like, what is that? What's the cool part of it?
Well, granted, for those of us that are kind of feel a little isolated, only being, Chandler Gilbert and not having a lot of other Arizona or Maricopa LC connections, it gives you a chance to network kind of on a national level and be involved with some people other than Greg and I, as far as that goes. But also some, there's some opportunities for professional development. They're doing some virtual things usually on a monthly basis, and then playing a role in planning the future conferences, selecting LC Advocate of the Year Awards. There's a couple other opportunities to be involved if you're looking for something to put on an IDP or something that gets you outside of only Maricopa involvement ways. So there's that. It's free, and you'll get a newsletter from Jeffrey Thomas every week or every month, and he's a biology instructor, by the way. He does learning community. So if you're looking for those that are teaching kind of like, I don't know any other science folks, or I don't know any other psychology folks, I don't know anybody else doing chemistry in the learning community, that becomes a place where you might be able to find those connections. It's easy to find someone who teaches English and teaches in a learning community. Those people that's the majority of us, right? But to find someone else, another educators, there's some, but it becomes a network for those connections.
I think there was a psych and bio professor I met last fall that did a human sexuality learning community with those two courses. So you get kind of both ends of the spectrum.
And the other things that happen across the country show up there too. For instance, the integrative plant learning curriculum retreat. I took that from the September newsletter. We know the Illinois Learning Communities Consortium holds a conference or symposium every April. I think it's at Northwestern University this year. So if you're like, I can't make the NLCC, but I'd like to get some learning communities training in this year because I have an IDP or whatever my FEPs do on my 3-year cycle, there's some other opportunities to kind of do some learning community work, and that's a great place to kind of find out what they are. It's virtual and other.
Very cool. I'll do this because it's a little more high priority, I think. We are getting close to the fall deadline for next year. So if you're thinking of new fall LC proposals, pairings, September 30th is also the official deadline to let us know about those. The more details you have, the sooner the better. One thing that can kind of help with that communication gap that happened for spring is when you do this, even if you submit it through the Google form, email your chair, your lead, your admin of your division to let them know you're considering this as a scheduling thing, even if you don't have all the details. And that way, you have more that you can have that and the LC form where we ask for a little more information too. But it's good to keep those looped in. And that was one of the features of the old form. It used to be a spreadsheet that got kind of emailed to everybody who needed to know. And so there's a smoothness to the Google form, and then there's a communication gap if it doesn't also get kind of relayed. So make sure you're emailing them if you're considering those fall 26 pairings. If you're considering a new pairing and need some, you want to check enrollments, or if you know a friend who's not sure if they want to but are considering it, David and I are happy to dig in to the course co-enrollment tableau that we have, and we can look at whether those co-enrollments for those courses are solid. But if you are considering a new learning community, put that in. We want to know that that's on your mind by September 30th. Again, you can send that through an email to your chair, your lead, your admin, and us to make sure they're in the loop. And remember, there are a variety. There's a whole on-ramp of possible LCs or ways to do learning communities, even if you're not ready for a fully integrated co-taught cohort. That you can also have our linked version. We're piloting Pocket LCs in the spring with just 5 students co-enrolled in 2 classes, English 102 and Chem 152, and then English 102 and Math 142. I think is the other one. So we have 2 Pocket LCs, but that's a model you might look at if you're not sure if there's enrollment, or if you think that you want to try this, but you don't want to have your schedule get funky if something weird happens. So these are all ways that you can keep engaging with LCs and possibly try ones that don't have traditional numbers.
I just want to throw out there, I'm really excited about the Pocket LC you're doing with Math 142, because it did give that instructor a chance to dip her toes in the water, and because she's definitely interested and definitely leaning that way. She came with us to Washington, so like she has interest, but there's always, she's so busy that she was afraid of the extra commitment and everything. And so by doing this Pocket, I think it's great for her, because then now she'll realize, oh, I can do this a bigger Pocket or a whole course. But then I also think it's great for the students, because the students are gonna be together with other students, and they're gonna talk about, oh yeah, and we all have this same English class together also. And so we say, oh, how'd that happen? Oh, there's this LC, and so we all have these same things together.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll help spread the word of LCs also, because if everybody in there is in an LC, they're not spreading it outside necessarily.
Yeah.
Whereas here it can kind of spread a little bit. So I think I'm excited for it, and,
Yeah.
and I think it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I'm hoping it gives us a strategy for LCs that traditionally people might have been nervous, and so for a variety of reasons, whether it's workload, I'm not sure if I can do a full linked or integrated, or whether I'm not sure I want to have a last minute cancellation of a part of my schedule, when those are usually planned, 6 to 12 months out. So yeah, I'm hoping that it gives us a solid way to work that through.
They might turn out to be a nice way to, if we're strategic about when they are, like it might, maybe, I know this is for the spring, but if the way Pam kind of described it, like if there's the student kind of talk, those might be things almost better in the fall to help drive what always turns out to be such a lower spring enrollment, right? Versus let's say something that happens in the spring, and then students aren't back in class until August, or maybe they've taken 102 and they're off to somewhere else. I'm not saying they shouldn't be in the spring, but that might be a nice way to help generate some spring interest in places where we always kind of it lags a little bit.
Right, so we can add them in the fall.
And we don't have as long a runway to get students in there, right? And we've got that whole week of break where nobody's around, so it just kind of throws things off in a way that all summer allows us to kind of, more likely make our numbers.
Yeah.
Hey Greg, this is Tom. Can I ask for some advice from the group?
Yeah.
So Michelle and I will be offering our Geography 113, English 102 next semester. Should we get something, at least in a loose form, for an English 101 and a second science? Have people typically done consecutive courses to cover, most of our students need 2 English and they need 2 sciences?
Absolutely. So if you, and this is one of the things that's part of our long-term goal, it was part of the strategic plan for first-year LCs and fields of interest, that we wanted to develop 2 learning communities in each field of interest for fall semesters that would, in hopes that it would feed a spring semester. So absolutely, if you guys are willing to do that in the fall, put it in, and we will, that is a thing that is directly in line with part of our, as the learning communities kind of strategic plan goals.
Okay,
So it can-
we'll get something in that form for you then,
Yeah.
so at least we're on your radar.
Yeah. And do the email to chairs, leads, and admin as well, for sure.
Will do.
Cool. Any other questions like Tom's that anyone was wondering about as we've gone through a lot of stuff here?
Greg, Buzzy might be able to chime in on this as well. We met with Audra yesterday about our contextualized FOI classes.
Okay.
And one of the things that we were talking about is, would it make sense to almost form a more LC-like structure where you can have, for example, an FYE, like right now, an FYE class for art majors that Buzzy's teaching, or an FYE class for ed majors that I'm teaching. In the spring, I think we both had higher numbers of just exclusive our students, and this year, I don't remember, I think, Buzzy, what did you have, 5? I had 7. The rest of ours are non-majors, is that right, Buzzy? So we were kind of talking about ways that we might solve it. And one idea was, what if we did an LC-like structure where any education course that you take is paired with one FYE section? And I started to think about that, like, I don't know if we've ever done anything like that. The closest thing I could think of is like the ENG 101 or ENG 102 and ENH. Just was kind of like, that's got to be a nightmare, because you would have to take like 6 different EDU sections, and or, and then a single and. I don't know, but it's just something we started talking about.
We can look at the best way to build that. I think there's an idea there. The best way to build it is the how is the
They're
thing.
2 different questions.
Yeah.
I was
Have a good one, Maria.
just gonna observe
Bye,
that
Maria. Good luck.
last year, Buzzy and Chris, but not this year, I was monitoring every FYE student and what their major was. So it was pretty laborious, but I was
Yeah.
looking at the 1,000 FYE students, what their majors were, well, spreadsheet, right? I sorted it, and then for all the students taking a play, out of David's book, emailing all the students, said, hey, you're an FYE, but you're also an education major. You might consider switching to this course.
And they also thought about taking a single section, like let's say we took one EDU 222 section, but then that would force concurrent enrollment. You might actually hurt the enrollment for the EDU 222 section.
Yes.
So
Because not
there's-
everybody's needing the FYE that semester.
right, so it's, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there as something to put on everybody's radar, and maybe follow up with Buzzy and Audra and Chris.
Absolutely.
Maybe David and Greg too, because I know David, and then the other thing
You
too
teach
is like,
FYE.
oh, and you're doing that as well, okay, so the other thing too is I recall years ago, when we used to have, that developmental, do you remember that weird combination of Dev Ed, English, in conjunction with 1 or 2 other sections, but there were also 1 or 2 other subsections of 8 students that
Yeah.
would roll into a group of 16, remember that, what did we call
That
that?
ALP stuff?
ALP structure, that was complex, but we did it somehow. It could be something like that. I don't know. Just throwing that out there or something.
Well, you know what, Mary Ellen and Maria, I think I don't know if Mary Ellen's on the call, but I think they're kind of doing that, because I think they've got one of the courses is in the middle. I don't know if it's the FYE or if it's the WAC 101, and then the others are built before and after. And I think they've got something similar to that. I'm not really closely at it, but.
That's similar to what
Yeah.
they do with the science class, right? They've got the lab before or
Yeah,
after.
or after. It could be something like that. I don't know.
What do you have, Buzzy?
Yeah, so I was thinking, just Chris was talking about our conversation with Audrey yesterday and the idea about teaching, thinking about us, the different size fields of interest, right? And this idea of having 2 LCs for every field of interest. And I think the only way we could do it in something like the visual performing arts is to do an FYE something else LC, and then maybe, then have this spring semester. But it really came about this semester because Vanessa and I are teaching English 101, Photo 1, and then I'm also teaching FIE for contextualized for art majors. And I realize how many of my students are in the 101, Photo 1, and an FYE, and it's like,
Mhm.
well, why don't next fall I teach an LC that's FYE, Photo 1, and with English 101, right?
That's
Yeah.
a cool idea.
Yeah, I love that. And that idea of effective like tripods of classes, not just the twofer, I think is what they call it in other parts of the country. Like that's a really, if we have the enrollment for it, that would be amazing.
I know Mary Ellen, I think, is doing something similar with
Yeah.
FYE LC right now.
Mary Ellen, you got your hand raised and you're cool.
Well, thanks, I don't know about that,
Hey,
but,
haircut.
what?
Haircut?
Oh, thanks, Buzzy. Hi. Buzzy, I love seeing your little girl online and all your media. Anyway, yes, Maria is still in the room?
No,
She's
she-
going to do a presentation at AET.
Yeah, she had to leave for the AETA thing. Yeah, so Maria and I are piloting the first fully integrated FYE 101, WAC 101 LC. We are learning lots of things along the way. And I'm hoping to continue to expand these conversations with Audra to show how FYE 101 curriculum can be embedded into existing curriculum and assignments.
Yeah.
What is not working is having this sort of like toggle, standalone, connected, like we are really having to revise assignments and embed the outcomes directly into the composition work. I know that wouldn't be the case for all of these sort of massive LCs. And I'm happy to think through curriculum with anybody who's thinking about approaching it. We're finding that makes the most sense and the best synthesis. So low-hanging fruit for this WAC 101, because Maria's curriculum was already about writing personal statements, sense of agency, comparing and contrasting career essays, writing a personal statement for a scholarship, which are all rooted in the activities and the content of FYE. And similarly for Reading 100, you know, the two texts are kind of anchored in this idea of education and goals and grit and perseverance and sense of agency. So the curriculum is just a natural fit. And I have lots of thoughts about outside of that, how you might approach it, because it can be a challenge.
Mary Ellen, are you guys doing 101 or 103? FYE.
101, so it's an 8-week
Got it.
model, and we thought in our heads that starting the FYE 101 2 weeks later into the semester and kind of bridging it into the English 101 curriculum would be the best. But looking back on it, I think both start immediately together, and the difference might be stretching the FYE to a 10-week model instead of a straight 8-week model.
That's cool.
Still 1 credit, right? I'd have to do the math in my head of how
It's like
you
50-minute class
spend
or something.
less seat time for 10 weeks in that 8-week piece. But if I have my druthers, that's how I would want to teach it with Maria a year from now.
I'm super excited that you guys have been able to do this FYE thing. I know it's been something you guys have wanted, like we've been aiming at FYE for a couple years, for sure. And
Yeah.
and Audra being willing to and working with you guys and allowing you to do that has been really cool. And her having conversations with more faculty, I'm really excited for the potential here.
Yeah, I think so too, and I know, Chris Schnick, you're in the room, I know it's your long-term goal to contextualize FYE because that's what makes the most sense and it's the best for retention. So I don't know if we can, David and I were talking offline just because we ran into each other about possibly getting a meeting on the books so we can talk through this model more with Audra and maybe get some sort of, I don't even know how I would do it, but some sort of like curriculum design framework for integrated FYE LCs. Like these are the things you need to think about. Because it is different, and I think it could work, but your approach to, like, what does this first year experience curriculum look through this contextual theme and that contextual theme? And I know Chris and Buzzy, you have been doing that for education and photography, so maybe you have similar experiences with it.
The thing I'll add is after Audra met with Chris and Buzzy, she reached out to me and said, hey, I want to talk to you, and it was very positive, about the work that's being done.
Sweet.
What I appreciate what's happening is what's always happened to this college is it's faculty working with faculty, to develop something at the right pace. And we are progressing. So I want to thank Chris, Buzzy, Mary Ellen, because when I first approached Audra about 2 years ago, it was like, there's a lot going on. I just need to get this course off the ground.
Yeah.
And I think we've done it at the right pace, and she has an interest in it as well.
Yeah.
So I'll follow
Agreed.
up after I have that meeting. I'll follow up, with more people in this room.
Yeah, Audra has been awesome with collaborating. Like, she's been very
Amazing.
open to it, and it's
Yeah.
been good conversations that come out of it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I will add only that if this has piqued anybody's interest, I believe the practice, and Buzzy, I can see your face, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the practice is still, you have to teach FYE before they'll even trust you to manipulate FYE. So if anybody's interest is piqued, you need to reach out to Audra, you need to get that faculty training. They do a very blueprint canned content model, and it's a lot to wrap your head around because it's not my discipline. And it took me a couple of years just to wrap my head around the curriculum before I felt comfortable approaching it and modifying it and switching it up with Maria. But that is step one. Nobody will let you go, oh, you want to teach an FYE section? Well, here's a Canvas course shell. Doesn't work that way with Audra and Yossi.
What's interesting is Austin has taught it. Are you still teaching it?
I am not, no, I took a step back.
I've taught it, and then Jessamy is going to teach it. So all the people in this room that are supporting you in learning communities or have been involved in it in some way. It's just a cool thing.
nice.
Cool. All right, that's all I got to say.
Thanks, Mary Ellen.
So this is maybe not a possibility, Mary Ellen knows Audra better than I do, but maybe this retreat in April would be a productive place to get her and FYE faculty together that are interested with this type of thing in mind, right?
That's a great idea. I'll see, if you don't mind, I'll ask her if she has an
All
interest.
right, I'm not going to go to any other meetings.
Washington.
I'll put this link in the chat. I'll put it up there.
Nice.
I'll
Yeah.
put it in the agenda.
It's up by Seattle.
What was so cool about it is faculty did the work.
Don't
they
expect
needed
the
to do.
nightlife, but
Yeah.
We didn't have
Never bring either.
It's
We're
out in
playing
the
poker with
woods.
rocks, so what kind of nightlife do we have?
Well,
Hey,
that,
it's out in the woods. It's different.
It was very free because
Play,
we didn't have
play poker with
to go
balls.
to all the sessions. So a lot
Yeah.
of people just didn't
That's
team
what
time.
I'm talking about.
In fact, there was one college that 2 people sat in this one room for 6 hours a day, 2 days in a row, to work in a learning community. But then you also could dip into the sections. Like there was a great session that I still have pinned to my wall about pedagogy of hope. Like just how you infuse that. Just some of the ideas from that.
well, there was a nice one on and maybe you captured some of this, but it was on team teaching, and they talked about like 6 different ways. Kind of the
Yeah,
obvious,
yeah.
you teach your thing, and you teach,
Oh, yeah.
but it was certainly a little more nuanced than I thought about team teaching
like
in a
that
way.
one.
So that was also kind of just nice to kind of consider. And for me, it was like, oh, it might not be that I would be doing any one of those all the time. It was more like I could see how, depending on what we were doing, what the activity was for the day, those 4 or 6 different kinds of team teaching styles might be appropriate depending on the activity, right? But like I said, it made me think about things a little differently.
All the meals are built in and.
We had a lunch lady who Tom got scared by.
Oh, you guys have never made a character like her. Like think of the biggest character from any show or movie you've ever seen. She topped it. She would literally she would yell if you walked in a minute late or if you touched anything that was on the table or
Yeah, one of
in
the
the
big
food.
triangle things they rang for lunch, or for dinner, so like.
But she has a British voice that was very loud and she loves being a show person. It was so entertaining.
Tom, have you recovered?
Yeah, Tom was called out.
Yeah, poor Tom.
Not sure if he's. Oh. Yeah.
He's still.
Well, to be honest,
Yeah.
like, you could tell which car was hers, because there was a car that was in the parking lot, and in the passenger side window was like a cutout of Queen Elizabeth waving. So I was like, oh, that's gotta be her car. Of course it was her car.
And wasn't it like a brand new Mercedes?
It was a
or
brand new
something like that?
Mercedes. It was a brand new white Mercedes.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was like theater.
It was like a theater show.
She get paid a lot to be the lunch lady there, huh?
Well, as we're getting, since we're getting close on time,
I want to make sure Anna has a
Yeah.
chance to talk about her,
Yeah.
her things.
Sure, yeah. So first is the HIPS showcase, HIPS and Honors Showcase. It's a student showcase that's happening on November 19th. This is our fourth or fifth, yeah. Last year we had 83 student presenters, and then probably easily triple that students coming to like view. So we'd love to have some LC representation this semester. We're planning on doing it again in the spring, so that works better planning wise. All of the details are in the link in the agenda. And then if you have any questions, I'm happy to meet with you or your students. We have a poster making workshop for students. It's in October, and I can share that information with you too. So we've got templates for students for their posters. We want to make it as easy for you as possible to have all or some of your students present. So we'd love to have some LC representation. And then also in this section is a link to the HIPS dashboard. Yeah, thanks, Greg.
we'll see if I can't. I think I have access.
You should have access,
Yeah.
And so it's a tracker for student success rates, and you can compare it to success rates as a whole for Chandler Gilbert. So things like GPA, grades, persistence. If you scroll down, there's retention. So all of that information is there. Unfortunately, I have to add people one by one, and I need your MEID, so I haven't added everyone in the room. But if you'd like that access, more than happy to give it to you. Just send me an email or a chat, or stop me at the end of the meeting. And it's just a cool tool for you to go through and look and see, what impact do LCs have compared to the general student population.
Thank you for putting that together. That's really cool.
We have a rich history in learning communities of tracking the learning community success. Not just the persistence data, but also the SESI data. And we have SESI coming up again this year, 2026. And Anna and or Dave are gonna reach out to Teresa to find out if we can have a learning communities denotation on that, so we can correlate. It's usually belonging and I think interaction, maybe. I would have to look at all the things, but the SESI data showed that students experience greater sense of belonging, more interaction with their peers and faculty member. And it's possible it was more rigor, or something along the lines of their academic experience. Because we need to, continue to tell the story of the impact on students, the success for students from this pedagogy. And that's actually true across all the HIPs. So this dashboard is pretty important for us to be able to tell our success for students through high impact practices. I want to highlight something that I think is pretty important. Chandler Gilbert is, the district is going through a strategic planning process, and then Chandler Gilbert is also starting a strategic planning process. We have a current existing academic plan, the Student Learning Success Council plan, and that specifically calls out high impact practices. It calls out that we want to scale up high impact practices, that we want to present students access. It says something like accessibility, increase the accessibility to high impact practices to students across the spectrum. So as we get in our new planning cycle, you'll have an opportunity to interact with faculty who are on the committee. You'll have an opportunity at forums and surveys, to share your thoughts on what's important to our planning. And it's always been the case that faculty involvement has stressed the importance of the high impact practices of teaching and learning. So that's the thing I want to share with you all, that you'll have a voice to talk about why this pedagogy is important and why we should support it as an institution. Any questions about the planning process?
Okay. What else do we have? So we're a little on time, but you got to share. Any thoughts on anything before I roll back over? I was just going to roll back over practices of consistency, I think, for time. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah, sounds
Okay. So anything else before I jump into the last thing from anybody else? Anyone online have things they need to ask? Is your silence a yes or a no? Take your silence a no?
What's all the equipment for? You DJ?
Oh, that's not it. To record the meetings.
Oh.
Yeah.
With all of that to record?
Well,
I have an iPhone.
I don't know that I need all of that, but it's what I have in here anyways, so I record my lectures and things in here. Why can't I find the link I just had? This is what I'm looking for.
Professionally? With like...
I can, yeah. If I want to. That doesn't mean it comes out in quality. We can talk more about it later before I lose track of my brain. So just as a reminder for all learning communities faculty, one of the things that part of being in a learning community we do make a commitment to as learning community partners is we want to make sure we're engaging in the 4 existing practices of consistency that LCs have been doing for how long, Chris?
Oh, at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. So some of these things we want to make sure is if we're teaching LCs that we continue reaching out to students with a letter or email, sometimes a co-recorded video with your learning partner or teaching partner before day 1 of class. We want to keep leaning into integrating stackable HIPs after the first semester of partnership. So if this is your first semester, that's not necessarily a thing you have to do. It's a good thing to have on your radar, like where could we add one in? But some of us, when we get to year 4 or 5 or semester 4 or 5 of a partnership, we're trying to innovate anyways. Keep engaging students in recursive student reflection throughout the course. Ryder, will you expand on that a little bit? Because I know that's one.
Which one?
The self-reflection. Like, what does that mean?
One of the concepts that we found in the research and that we agreed was a tenet that we thought that all of the LCs should say we're able to identify with is that we ask our students to consistently do self-reflection, whether it's every module, every unit, every major project, every month, whatever the scenario is, every class perhaps, whatever it may be. It's just one of the things that it said in terms of best practices that really help students continue to engage in the community in which they exist.
Okay. Cool. And the last part is assessment. So we do have that assessment culture here at CGC no matter what. It's okay to let this align with your with assessments you're already doing with whether they're gen ed or separate discipline or if you have program assessment you're supposed to be doing. But just some form of assessment is something we try to do in our learning community. So those are kind of the 4 practices of consistency that are kind of on the chart. And then we did last semester, we did expand these not as a way to we're not trying to add burdens with this other appendix here. What it is practices that a lot of teachers who do learning communities tend to do. And so if you want to see this as a list of possibilities or a starter kit, if you're teaching new learning communities and you're not sure what teaching a learning community could feel like, or you're like, do I just go sit in their class? The expanded practices of efficiency are really saying if I have so much time, I don't have to do all these things. I could pick one a week, or I could pick I could go through this list, which one makes sense for what I've got going on in the class. So it's really more of a starter kit than it is do these things, right? It's a place to help us in some ways limit our expectations for ourselves, because some of the conversations, especially with pay scales and stuff like that coming up all last year, and course caps and everything. It is a question of workload. And so this was designed so that you didn't feel like you had to do everything, but you knew some of these things were what learning communities would support learning communities if you've got them linked, integrated, or whatnot. So this is meant to be more of a starter kit if you're not sure, or a way to use some of that learning community time to do the integration. It's not something that you have to do everything on the list. They're not outcomes. They're just, these practices might help you. So they're meant to be idea generating.
Greg, are you still sharing out the survey so that you can collect answers to how we do those 4 things and potentially archive them? Because what I built was a survey that just said, how do you do this, 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 and then do you want to archive anything you've done?
If I didn't in the spring, it wasn't on purpose, but I'll make sure to, I think I did mean to, if I didn't, and it will happen this semester.
Okay.
So yeah.
What I liked about that, and the reason why I started doing that, was that it was easy for people to write back really quickly and say, yeah, this is an example of how I word the letter.
Yeah.
Or, we also do a common intellectual experience with the library when we go to banned book readout.
Yeah.
Every module we do this, and then each of us does our own assessment, and then it just instantly fed into that grid. So we always had it.
Yeah, and it does become when we do have that share out as part of the assessment, as part of like helping us know what you're doing in the class. It also it gives us materials that then we can use to promote. And so telling us how you used an artifact, or telling us what students did, like those stories become the picture or image or promotion items too of LCs long term. So
Probably good for HLC, I would assume, maybe.
I assume. I think so. Anytime we're
Everybody
documenting
comes
stuff
up,
is
you can
good.
say that this is what we do.
Okay. So we're at time. So what's the saying, for the good of the order? Is there anything else, or anything else you want to put on David or my list?
Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
Cool. All right. So we'll call that good for the day. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. If you're in person, thanks everybody online. Buzzy, Mary Ellen, Julie, Beth. I see you guys were quiet, present, strong supporters. Mary Ellen, what do you got?
I am having a hard time finding the shared learning community drive.
Okay. I think it's.
I don't know where mine is. I'm so sorry.
Do you mean like for like the stuff that Chris, David, and I may have produced over the years, or?
Yeah, like, do you have a shared drive that we're all a part of?
I think so. I'll make sure that the link gets shared out.
I'm so sorry. I'm like, I don't know if it's named funny or I deleted it.
It's called Learning Community. I think it's Learning Communities Initiative is what it might be listed as. And it might be more in the shared with me versus. Let me see.
Yeah, Mary Ellen, maybe since you've been out of the cycle for a little bit, it might have been shared when you were not as active, and now that you're back, maybe you just need to be added. Like it might
that's quite possible. Thank you.
So I'll put that on my action item. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Mary Ellen.
Anything else from anybody else?
John, you gonna go to Iowa?
Okay. Get that notes. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody. If you're here in person, feel free to take bagels or coffee or tea if there's anything left there. There for you.
Des Moines, yeah, we can drive the 35 minutes to Des Moines.
Frank, thanks for being here.
But they got a big college there.
We did promise that we were gonna talk to all the business owners, keep the bars open.
Did they?
In one of the meetings, they were like, yeah, we've already talked to all the bar owners, and they have no reason to close early while you guys are all out here.
We stay out on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, come on.
That was a smart sell. Are you teaching a psych FO or a psych contextualized for FA?
No.
Oh, just thinking about it. Yeah. We had a full class in the spring, but that was because, like Chris said, there was somebody who was dedicated to monitoring all of the enrollment as it came in. It was like a full-time, I think it was Laura that was doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Latimer?
No,
No, oh.
Laura,
Webb?
yeah, Smith Webb. So, I think she and Audra mutually agreed that was not the best use of time, which I don't blame her. So this year I ended up with 7 ed students and 18, or maybe 18 and 7, I can't remember, non-majors, so.
Are you online?
Online, 8-week 101, so, you know, I'm able to still give, I think kind of the same instruction. It doesn't really impact me per se, as much as like, instead of just doing things to specific students, and I share it with the whole class. I mean, that's really it. But it is nice to have a full cohort. That's how the conversation kind of started.
Love those shoes, Alyssa.
My
So
best
cute.
friend gave them to me.
Oh, really?
Christmas. She knows I like fun shoes. Wear these.
Are they comfy?
September 30th, I'm gonna say. And that's just for the registration. I think you still got like a couple weeks into October for the room.
I love the comfy cute shoe.
Today?
September 30th.
Oh.
The 30th.
We are teased.
I know yours too, I just have to look it up on my phone.
So she actually sent me shoes, and I was like, oh,
Okay, so it's like,
She went and got some.
no, I got that down. Got that one down. Although whenever I have to do anything with kids, they're like, your kid's birthday, your kid's social, and I was like, give me a second.
Thanks, Alyssa.